Structuralism, Literary Theory and Practice, presented by Hanan Modaffar. This is part of a series of lectures on schools of literary theory and their application to literature. Both theory and application are taken from Rivkin and Ryan's Anthology of Literary Theory, with the article on Shakespeare's King Lear used for the application. The presentation is enhanced with scenes from the 1975 BBC production of the play. Reading King Lear and watching the BBC production before starting the lecture would be beneficial. Structuralism is a major school of literary theory that explores how meaning is shaped by hidden structures beneath surface realities. Originating in linguistics, structuralism expanded into anthropology, philosophy, and literary criticism, fundamentally changing how texts and cultures are understood. This presentation begins by tracing the theoretical foundation of structuralism through figures like Saussure, Lévi-Strauss, Barthes, and Foucault, highlighting how language, culture, and narrative are organized through systems of relations. After establishing this theoretical framework, we move to an application of structuralist methods to Shakespeare's King Lear to explore how the play's double plots mirror and complicate traditional structures of meaning. Structuralism finds its roots in early 20th century linguistics, particularly in the work of Swiss linguist Ferdinand de Saussure. Saussure proposed that language is not a random collection of utterances, but a structured system governed by implicit rules. He emphasized that each individual act of speech reflects an underlying structure that organizes meaning. From linguistics, the structuralist impulse spread into anthropology, philosophy, and literary criticism, emphasizing that beneath apparent diversity lie organized systems of relations. This foundation prepares the grounds for understanding the link between structuralism and Russian formalism. Structuralism developed important historical and conceptual ties to Russian formalism. It built on formalism's scientific impulse to study internal systems and structures within art. Roman Jakobson, a key bridge figure, introduced historian linguistic ideas to broader cultural and literary contexts. Jakobson helped transition the focus from isolated texts to the structures that underlie literary forms. This historical linkage deepened structuralism's emphasis on systems, codes, and internal knowledge. His influence extended to Claude Lévi-Strauss, whose work in anthropology significantly shaped structuralist thinking. Claude Lévi-Strauss extended structuralist ideas from language to culture, proposing that culture operates as a communication system. In his elementary structure of kinship, Lévi-Strauss showed that how kinship arrangements function through structured patterns of exchange and rules. He emphasized that tokens, such as women in marriage systems, function as signs maintaining social order. In studying myths, Lévi-Strauss identified recurring structures that resolve contradictions, such as the tension between nature and culture. His analysis of the Oedipus myth illustrated how myths mediate contradictions between natural desires and cultural prohibitions. This shift in focus expanded structuralist method beyond language to myth, society, and broader human systems. Central to Saussure's linguistic theory is the concept of the sign, composed of the signifier, the sound, or even the image of a thing, and the signified, the concept this sound or image signifies. Meaning is not inherent in words themselves, but emerges from differences within the system of language. Saussure proposed that linguistics is a branch of a broader science he called semiology, concerned with signs across systems. Language thus becomes a model for understanding how meaning operates in various cultural forms. This vision paved the way for thinkers like Roland Barthes to extend semiology to literature and everyday culture. Roland Barthes built on Saussure's work, viewing literature as a network of signs generating meaning. His influential works, such as Mythologies and SZ, analyze how myths and literary texts operate through structured codes. Barthes argued that meaning arises not from individual texts alone, but from the system of signs they inhabit. He extended semiological analysis to popular culture, examining films, advertising, and commodities. His work connected early structuralism with broader cultural analysis, setting the stage for narratology. Tzvetan Todorov shifted structuralist analysis towards narrative structures, founding the field of narratology. His translations of Russian formalist work helped bridge formalism and French structuralism. Todorov showed how narratives are organized around absences or missing centers, revealing hidden structures. His studies of Henry James, for instance, demonstrated how deep structures shape narrative from even amidst apparent surface chaos. Todorov's work reinforced structuralism's emphasis on the underlying patterns and rules across different literary forms. By the mid-1960s, structuralism expanded beyond literature into disciplines like history, psychoanalysis, and philosophy. Michel Foucault analyzed how historical eras are organized by discursive structures or epistemes, the hidden logic behind accepted truths. Jacques Lacan applied linguistic models to psychoanalysis, proposing that the unconscious is structured like a language. Julia Kristeva integrated semiotic theory with literary criticism, enriching the structuralist approach. Louis Althusser interpreted Marxism through structuralist frameworks, emphasizing ideology's internal structures. This broadening of structuralist thought created new critical tools and prepared the ground for post-structuralism. Foucault adapted and transformed structuralist concepts in works such as The Order of Things and The Archaeology of Knowledge. He argued that language not only communicates ideas, but shapes reality itself through the constructions of knowledge systems. Each historical period organizes meaning through distinct discursive formations. Foucault emphasized that power and knowledge are deeply intertwined and that language constructs social realities. His later works, such as Discipline and Punish and History of Sexuality, expanded this view to institutions and the body. Foucault's development marks the transition from structuralism to post-structuralism, challenging the stability of culture of structures themselves. This theoretical framework provides the backdrop for understanding how structural patterns operate within literature itself, as we shall see in the next analysis of King Lear. In the subplot as simplification in King Lear, Brigitte Gellert-Lyons analyzes how the Gloucester subplot functions structurally and thematically. The Gloucester narrative mirrors Lear's story but simplifies it, following more traditional moral patterns. While Lear's tragic arc resists straightforward moral interpretations, Gloucester's journey evokes older dramatic forms like the morality play and chivalric romance. The Gloucester subplot offers emblematic figures and moral clarity, contrasting with the ambiguous, chaotic tragedy of Lear's experience. This juxtaposition highlights the collapse of traditional moral and social structures within Lear's story. By comparing the two plots, Lyons shows how Shakespeare intensifies the tragic impact through structural mirroring and variation. The structural organization is established early, as seen in Act 1, Scene 1. This division of his kingdom, based on public declarations of love, signals a breakdown of traditional order from the outset. Simultaneously, Gloucester's story is introduced, establishing a subplot that mirrors and simplifies the main action. In this next scene, Lear's demand for love sets the tragedy in motion, revealing the instability of his assumptions about loyalty and family.
Tell me, my daughters, since now we will divest us both of rule, interest of territory, cares of state, which of you, shall we say, doth love us most? That we our largest bounty may extend, when nature doth with merit challenge.
Which of you, shall we say, doth love us most? This question initiates the fateful unraveling of trust and power. As for Gloucester, his introduction of his sons in a casual, joking manner also hints at familial tensions and misplaced trust.
This young fellow's mother could, whereupon she grew round-wombed, and had indeed set her son for her cradle, ere she had a husband for her bed. Do you smell a fault?
I cannot wish the fault undone, the issue of it being so proper.
But I have a son, sir, by order of law, some year elder than this, who was yet no dearer in my account. Though this knave came somewhat saucily into the world before he was sent for, yet was his mother fair. There was good sport at his making, and the whoreson must be acknowledged. Edmund, you know this noble gentleman?
No, my lord.
Gloucester's crude joke about Edmund's birth, coming socially before he was sent for, foreshadow the fault lines within family and inheritance. The parallel structure of the two plots, one complex and destabilizing, the other simplified and traditional, are thus set in motion from the beginning. This mirroring helps organize the play's meaning, emphasizing key oppositions such as loyalty versus betrayal and nature versus culture. The structural parallels deepen as the play progresses, particularly in Act 3 and 4. In Act 3, Gloucester's brutal blinding is portrayed as punishment for his misplaced trust, reinforcing traditional moral codes.
Who's there? The traitor.
Ingrateful fox, 'tis he.
Bind fast his corky arm.
What means your graces? Good my friends, consider you are my guests. Do me no foul play.
Bind him, I said.
Hard! Hard! Oh, filthy traitor.
Oh, merciful ladies, you are, I'm none.
To this chair, bind him!
Oh, thou shalt kind gods, 'tis most ignobly done to pluck me by the beard.
Gloucester, pleading for fairness, do me no foul play, my friends, is nonetheless bound and humiliated, emphasizing the play's brutal moral order. His story moves towards recognition and moral reordering, fitting the simpler structural model identified by Leon. In contrast, Lear's descent into madness resists moral clarity.
Man may see how this world goes with no eyes. Look with thine ears. See how yon justice rails on yon simple thief.
Hark in thine ear. Change places and handy-dandy, which is the justice, which the thief.
Thou seen a farmer's dog bark at a beggar?
Handy-dandy, which is the justice, which is the thief. This collapses traditional binaries, portraying a chaotic and arbitrary world. Lear's ravings about justice, corruption, and power reveal the collapse of traditional binaries and expose the absurdity of societal structures. These structural tensions between subplot and main plot deepen the tragedy, highlighting the disintegration of both personal and social meaning. Through its intricate mirroring of the Gloucester subplot and the collapse of traditional binaries, King Lear ultimately reveals the fragility of meaning and the tragic unraveling of human and cultural structures. Let's review the presentation. Structuralism begins with Ferdinand de Saussure's insight that language is a structured system governed by rules rather than individual words. Roland Jakobson and Claude Lévi-Strauss extended structuralist thinking into culture, myth, and anthropology, seeing meaning as relational and systemic. Roland Barthes showed how literary and cultural products operate through structured codes, while Tzvetan Todorov mapped narrative structures. Michel Foucault adapted structuralism to history and discourse, illustrating how language shapes knowledge and reality. Across these thinkers, structuralism evolved from a theory of language to a powerful critical method for analyzing society and culture. In the case of King Lear, structuralist analysis reveals how the Gloucester subplot mirrors and simplifies the main plot, reinforcing old moral codes while exposing their inadequacy in the face of Lear's tragedy. Ultimately, structuralism challenges readers to uncover hidden structures and to recognize how meaning, morality, and order are constructed and deconstructed in literature and in life. Thank you for your attention.